Good morning, guys. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking the time to join us here. Over the past few years, I've been asked if there was a specific reason I named my company Grace Properties and Development. And the answer to that would be a resounding yes. I know that in my life, I've been given many second chances. Some were small, some were more impactful, some I deserved, but I have to be honest and say most I did not. But God's gift of grace is never deserved on whether or not we deserve it. His grace is never deserved. We can never do enough. And no gift has had more impact on my life than that gift of God's grace. For God to look at a man like me with my sin and my faults and all the warts and all of those things, you know what we're talking about, and see Jesus and how perfect He is more really than I can understand. See, that's the gospel, and we'll go into that more later on. But because this gift of grace was not deserved, I feel an overwhelming desire to share it with other people like you. It never runs out, and grace from God is deeper than the deepest ocean, no matter how much I extend it to others. Seeing others as God sees them, not just with my human understanding and perception. You know, you're starting to see, maybe get a glimpse of what I do and why I do it, right? So, following our analogy of a gift, how great it is that I can run my business with honesty and fairness and integrity, all examples I find in Jesus as He walked on this earth. And I can offer my business as a gift back to the God that requires nothing in return for His love. Again, that's the beauty of the gospel. You know, the gospel, like I said, we're going to go into that more in some later videos because it's so crucial to understand. The gospel is not just one-sided. The whole gospel talked about in the Bible is two-sided. It's a great exchange, and it's realizing that my imperfections, but yet God has given me through Christ that robe of righteousness, and we'll be discussing that later on. But so if you're still listening, you either know already the God that I am describing, or you're intrigued enough to hear more. So let me tell you simply the good news that I have. Jesus came down to earth, one of the main reasons we celebrate Christmas. It's who it's all about. Not to be an earthly king, not to upend the government, a corrupt government of that time, not to free His people from that corrupt government, but for a much bigger purpose. He came to save us from a much oppressive rule. That rule is the rule of sin. Sin, it really is just any action that falls short of God's perfect standard. And isn't that the measure that we use when we're talking about our sin? It's not compared to other people. I haven't murdered anybody. I haven't really been that egregious in my actions toward others. But yet I'm just as sinful as the next man when compared to the standard of God's holiness. When I stand before God at judgment and He asks me why He should allow me to enter His perfect heaven, I really have no answer. Even one sin would keep me from entering. However, Jesus is my answer. God looks right past me and sees His perfect Son. His white robe, His clean robes, His perfect robes are draped over me, over my dirty ones, over my sin, over my faults. And this is called grace. That is God's grace. Now you know. So if you ask me why I named my company Grace Properties and Development, you know my reasons. It's simply I want to extend the grace to others through my business because of the grace that God has offered me. If you have any questions or comments over any part of this message, feel free to contact me at any time. And I'll be happy to talk with you about that. If you want to know more about this thing called grace and how it really is, if you want to know more about the gospel of Jesus Christ, that great exchange, my sinfulness for His righteousness, is the whole story of grace. This is Dave with Grace Properties and Development saying thank you for taking the time to listen to this. I hope it's touched you. I hope it's been an encouragement to you, and I hope it's challenged you to think about grace. So if you want to talk more, call me at 816-490-7065, or you can email me at dave@gpdrealestate.com. May God truly and richly bless you, praying God's best in this Christmas season for you. Thank you.